What's happening, guys? Welcome to another cash game review session. Today we have our friend FlowersOfSulphur and his 25 NL Russian cash session on GGPoker. As always, be sure to click that subscribe button, guys. If you enjoy the content, just click the little Bible watermark in the bottom right hand corner. And enjoy the video, chaps. I'll see you in the next one. Alright, anyway, let's go. Matthew, don't even start with pocket twos. So I assume with 3-bet here, under the gun versus button, and big blind versus under the gun, and you've whaled it off here. I guess you could have squeezed. If you'd have squeezed, it's okay. But if you've just made it like 12 big blinds versus his open, it's terrible. Just jam pre, way easier. As played, check calling, just in case he wants to absolutely spaz off, seeing as he's a fun player. He should instantly get the fun player tag. He's playing fucking like 25 big blinds. Nines here, we're going for the flat versus a 3x under the gun. I think this is fine. Again, if we look at the raise your edge ranges, we're talking 3-bet or fold, and it kind of wants to mix with nines. So even though nines we could take a flop with a lot of the time, and I think it's fine, don't get me wrong, just having this 3-bet or fold strategy, I think, is easy for simplicity's sake. But calling a hand like this versus a 3x under the gun, I think makes a lot of sense. And we put him in on the turn. I think this is just fine. It doesn't really matter. Checking back the 9 seems okay. He's got the queen jack. And he wants to run it once and we win. That's nice. Yeah, I think I'm just checking with these 9s. Versus a check, I'm probably going to value bet small here. My guess is that you'll check behind. Let's have a look. Okay, so... Shit. I meant to pause it here. So, when we check back to the river, what do you expect his range to look like when he's checked to the river here? As probably a fun player, because he's not playing a full stack, what hands do you think beat you? So, when we're value betting the river, we do have to consider two things. We have to consider how likely it is we have the best hand, but also how likely it is he can call with a worse hand. So how likely is it we have the best hand? He's raised under the gun, and he's just checked to the river here on this board. Like, a king would probably bet earlier. A queen will probably bet earlier. Maybe he's got something like 10, but a lot of his 10x is going to be hands like 10 jack that has an open ender. Maybe they bet earlier. And denies you going to showdown. That's kind of a risk-averse, scared, little bitch way of looking at it. Like, think about it. Think about how unlikely it is he's going to check, raise with a hand. Like, most players don't really do that. Like, it's possible, but like, on this kind of board, he should be doing a lot better. So, I see what you mean, but I think just going for a small size here, and trying to attack 5, 6, 7s, 8s. Maybe even like ace 4. Maybe even like ace 9 suited. I think that you can get called by a lot here. I don't think it's absolutely terrible, but I just think you leave money at the table if you're... I mean, what are you going to value bet here? Are you gonna value bet ace 10? And we're against a fun player. It's unlikely he's going to go for the check, raise bluff. Or even check, raise value. So I think that, you know, we're just missing out on a couple of big blinds there. King, queen suited, we open blind versus blind and we get 3-bet. So some ranges will say different things here. I'm basically never 4-betting this, especially at lower stakes for a couple of reasons. The main one being that I really want to see a flop with this hand. It's a really good looking hand. It's a really good, really playable hand. I think that when we 4-bet, they're going to do a lot more jamming than maybe theoretically. So I think just calling here is going to be best. It tracks all hands. And then we just get stacked here. This is just a board that's just really good for him. He's going to have a lot of bluffs here. Our hand is incredibly strong. We are beaten by so few hands. I don't think deuces 3-bet, 6s, not even 3-betting all that often. We're beaten by aces, ace-king, and one combo of kings. I guess king-6 as well. King-6 could actually 3-bet here. This is just a spot where I'm just check calling down, and I am, if they have it, I'm getting stacked. I mean, I'm getting just epically stacked here. I'm just calling with this king queen. And yeah, I don't know how many raises we want to have on this turn. I guess like good bluff raises would be like 4, 5 suited. 4, 5 of clubs here would make an okay check jam. But there's really not that many bluffs we want to have. If I have something like ace queen of clubs, I just want to call because we're going to have the best hand. So I would probably advocate not doing any raises here. This isn't even nearly sweaty DX. This is just... when I'm in this spot and I'm against a reg and they've 3-bet me blind versus blind and they bet the flop and they bomb the turn, I am so horny. I'm sat there with a massive erection. All I'm thinking about is Vegas and the fucking Mirage at this point. If you even go near the fold button, I'll slap you around the mouth. Hurry up, you got 3 seconds. You playing it? And then check. And then hope he jams. Don't. What are you doing here? No. No. Don't you dare. Stop it. Yeah, check. Fist bump call, let's go. Happy days. Happy fucking days. There you go. Queen Jack, easy. Okay, so play perfectly. I don't know what you were fucking doing around here, because if you jam here, jamming here is terrible. If he has, you literally, you force his range from bluffs and strong hands to strong hands. Maybe there's a world where he has a hand like tens or jacks and he calls. So yeah, this is just a very clear check call, check call, check call. And I don't mind his bluff. I much prefer his bluff when he has queen jack of diamonds or queen jack of spades. If anyone can tell me the reason why. It's because we would block king queen and king jack suited. We could still have king jack off and king queen off probably at a frequency, although we might want to 4-bet some of those. So I would prefer it when he has queen jack of spades rather than queen jack of hearts. But I actually just really don't mind his triple barrel bluff here. I'd also wouldn't mind it with something like 9-10 of... Or no, 10 jack of spades would be my favourite bluff here. You block king 10 suited, king jack suited. You block 10s and jacks, and you'd unblock turn flush draws. So I think my favourite bluff ever would be 10 jack suited here. And I just do that. What do you mean, what about ace king? He's got ace king, good luck to him. It's called a cooler. If he's got ace king, fucking pay that man his money. He didn't have ace king though. So, very well played, Flowers of Sulphur. Not really too sure about this 3-bet here. So theoretically, it's fine if we're playing against a full stack. But did you notice his stack here? Did you notice his stack, my friend? So let's have a look what we want to be 3-betting small blind versus cutoff. Ace jack, he wants to 3-bet fold, so I'm absolutely fine with it. However, he's playing 44 big blinds. So we don't need to go this size, even though this size is perfect, in my opinion, or next to perfect for 100 big blinds. So we can go smaller here. And honestly, I'm probably just not doing it against a 42 big blind stack. I think I'm just folding. So be aware of stack sizes, guys. Even a good thing as well, even if you just tag him as a fun player because he's not playing a full stack, you'll see the fun player tag and you'll probably look at his stack a bit more often. He has 41 VPIP. Yeah, but like he might just have... A lot of fun players have like a high VPIP and a low PFR, so you've not even checked his PFR. His VPIP could be 41%, his PFR could be 1. I've seen guys that literally have 1% PFR and they just raise with aces and limp every other hand. I've literally seen it. The thing is, fun players are very inelastic to sizing, so a lot of the time he's just going to call anyway. So he'll call 9 big blinds and he'll call 11 big blinds. So when we're bluffing, let's make it smaller. Again, this is talking about exploits, so theoretically we want to balance most things that we do, right? So we want to be balanced with bluffs, and we want to do the same things with bluffs as value, so they don't know whether we've got a bluff or value. When we're playing against fun players that don't think about their opponent's range, went on a rant about this earlier, all poker is, it's your hand, how well your hand performs against your opponent's range, right? If they're not thinking about your range, they're just thinking about their hand, exploit. Go small with your bluffs, go big with your value. Easiest thing to do against fish. A7 suited, we raise here. This is a board I don't mind checking with A7 because we have like a pretty medium ace here. With this hand, I think I'm going to bet for 2 reasons. Having a 7 means we block some of his check raising range. Hands like 7-4 suited or 7-8 suited, 7-9 suited. We also have the backdoor nut flush draw. And when I have the backdoor nut flush draw, I'm happy putting more money in. If I had ace-7 of clubs, I'm more likely to check here. But yeah, I think going for a small bet is absolutely fine on this board. It's relatively disconnected. And yeah, so when I hit this turn, I just want to put loads more money in. So I get why you're checking, and it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, look at the stack to pot ratio. I've got the nut flush draw. I just want to put more money in. So a7, if we had a7 of clubs here, let's say we bet the flop with a7 of clubs, I always want to check this turn, right? I want to pot control against better aces, right? I don't want to get check raised off my equity. I want to allow him to bluff on rivers with maybe a hand like 8-9 or, you know, something like king queen of hearts or something like that, or king 10 of hearts. When I've got the nut flush draw here, I'm just putting more money in because I've got the nut flush draw. The stack to pot ratio is more than 10 here. So what the stack to pot ratio is the ratio of the pot in relation to the stack, basically. So there's 9 big blinds, the effective stack is 95, so it's more than 10x, right? So when it's like more than 10x, if we river the nut flush, it's so hard to get the money in. When we've got an extremely strong draw here, we want to get the money. Not to mention, he could have some 6x of hearts. He could have 6-4 of hearts. of spades, sorry. He could have 6-4 of spades. He could have 8-6 of spades, king-6 of spades. He could have maybe a float like 9-10 of spades, or definitely 8-9 of spades. And we want to get more money in with these hands, because otherwise it's hard to get the money in. And there we go, ding, ding, ding. We draw the fucking nuts, and there's 9 big blinds in the pot, and he's got 95 big blinds behind. And we're just thinking, ah, shit, why didn't I bet the turn? I've got the nuts. Fuck's sake. I really hope he's got 8-9 of spades, and he bats and you raise and he calls, and then you absolutely hate your life. And the thing as well with this river is it's now so hard for us to have bluffs, because it's such a weird spot to take as a bet check raise line with a bluff. Because when you have a bluff here, you ideally want to have some sort of decent blockers. So like the ace of spades where you'd block the nut flush, but the ace of spades is top pair. Do we really want to bet with our top pair here? Do we really want to turn our top pair into a bluff? Probably not. So we're looking at something like queen jack with the queen of spades, and it's like, are we really just going to bet check and then raise with that nothing? And honestly, against this size, I'm probably going really big and trying to specifically target flushes. So I think he's going to have a lot of bluffs here. He's going to have some 2 pairs, maybe. He's not really going to have ace-king. We block some ace-x hands. I'm just trying to target flushes. But I would have just bet the turn and got more money in. But yeah, just go big. Something like this I think is absolutely fine. Because people just are never going to fold a flush. And he's going to fold a lot of his 1 pairs. He's going to fold all of his bluffs. He's going to fold his... Might even fold 2 pairs, but he shouldn't really have many 2 pairs that are going to check raise. 8-9 of spades. Well, he's just a fucking idiot, so... Maybe, I mean, yeah, you probably got more value, to be fair, by playing it this way. Yeah, I think the sizing's fine. This is kind of sticky. So in one way, yeah, he's quite high up in his range, I guess, with 2 pairs here, because he's going to raise a6, 5-6, 5s and 6s on the flop, or should. He's going to have some flushes, but like, I don't know if he just wants to call with flushes. Again, this is all theoretical. Like, can you imagine somebody bluffing here with this line that you've taken? It'd be an extremely strange bluff. So I would just probably tag him as a bit sticky. Button opens, we defend the ace-9, standard. Cutoff opens, we defend the 3s, standard. Hello, Tyler. We are going to check raise this flop all fucking day on the right-hand side. Our bluffs are pretty obvious. We could have hands like 7-8, 8-9 of hearts. If we don't 3-bet those, we could have hands like 4-5 of hearts. In terms of leading, by the way, I'm just going to simplify and say, generally speaking, don't lead from the big blind. I think, again, talking about simplicity's sake, it's just easier not having a donking range. There are boards we want to donk a lot, and sometimes in 3-bet pots as well. I'm not going to talk about it, so don't. Yeah, check raise all day with the 3s. If you do anything else, I'm going to be upset. Again, you're super deep here. You want to get more money in. No, no, no. Why have you called? Are you worried about it? He's got a bigger set? Why have you called here? Nit, stop it. Especially to the small sizing. If he went for a pot size, I can get it. Generally speaking, the smaller somebody's raise, the more we need to defend, right? And so the more we need to call and the more we need to raise. If somebody bets, like, let's say he goes all in for 160 big blinds, we don't have to defend a lot. So we can just fold pretty much our entire range, right? When he bets this small, we have to defend a lot. And we have to defend, we have to counteract it with a lot of raises. So versus a small size, you cannot call here. Like, I'm not allowing this call. I might just end the stream. It's unacceptable. Raise, you nit. So many hands call. We want to put more money in with the set. 4, 5, 7, 8, 8, 9. All of these hands call. Ace 10, King 10, Queen 10, Jack 10, 9, 10. Disgraceful. You also have to understand as well, we have the third nuts, right? 10s, 6s, 3s. We have the third nuts. So many turns, we no longer have anywhere near the third nuts. Here, yeah, we have the 4th nuts. Congratulations. But if it's a 7, an 8, a 4, a 5, a 10, a 6, a deuce. Probably worried he would fold if check raised. That's going to happen sometimes. But the thing is, when he folds, it's because he's got fucking nothing. So he's probably not going to just start barreling it off. If he has a hand like King, Queen of clubs here, by the way, he should call versus a raise. It's not like we have to raise all in. We can raise to like 6.5 big blinds. He gets to float a lot in position. This is an extremely strong hand. As a general rule, when you've got very good hands in poker, especially at the low stakes, raise or bet. Don't worry about balancing. Just very upset with this call. Check on the turn on the left. I'm probably going for a small value bet on the river. We can maybe even go big. Why? What is this? What the fuck is this? Now, this is a lead where it's like, oh, now I'm desperate to get more money in because I've just left a load of money in. I've just left money on the table by not check raising the flop, and he snap folds anyway. Again, this is just a random thing where, why are we leading? Like, if he's bluffing, we want him to continue bluffing. If he has a good hand, he's going to bet anyway. No need for this. Just raise the flop. Just every time you have a... How about this? Every time you have a set... In the big, you flop a set in the big blind, check raise the flop. You basically can't go wrong with that advice. If you flop a set when you defended the big blind in a single raise pot, check raise the flop. Say that. You literally can't go wrong by doing that. We're basically, the reason I don't want to talk about leading is theoretically, like, this card doesn't improve us. Like, leading, the only way we should lead, the only reason we lead, why solvers want to lead, is when range advantage shifts to our favor. Or like on a board where somebody opens and we call out the big blind, we only don't lead on boards that actually are favorable for us. If you put in a solver, let's say we 3-bet out of the small blind and the big blind calls, and we put in the ranges for the small blind 3-bet and the button call versus 3-bet, you will see the solver always lead. You don't need to put into the solver that person's the aggressor. We don't check to the aggressor because they had the last action. We check to the aggressor because they have the advantage in ranges. That's the only reason why we'd ever lead. This is not a card we should lead on theoretically. It's not a card I would lead on normally. We can check raise this turn card. If he has like a flush draw, he's just going to call, and you're going to get 4.3 big blinds. If he has a flush draw, we could check raise and get like 15 big blinds. Don't lead. If you flop a set and a big blind, check raise. We can go for the check with the ace-9. Again, left money on the table. Like, maybe he calls king-7, maybe he doesn't. But again, why are we checking here? So, the reason why we want to check the river with a good hand is to allow our opponent to bluff. Once he's checked back the turn, he's probably not going to bluff hands like queen-jack and stuff. He could barrel those on the turn. So when we have a top pair here, yeah, fair enough, our kicker doesn't play, it's a 10, but he's probably going to bet ace-jack, ace-queen, ace-king on the turn, right? So we can bet small here, hoping he's got a hand like king 10 or pocket kings or king 7 of diamonds that decide it wants to call. So betting small here again. So when we didn't bet earlier with the pocket 9s, I think we're leaving money on the table. So I think that you're going to win in these games, but you're leaving so much money on the table. Not check raising sets, not value betting top pairs, not value betting pocket 9s on, yeah, fair enough, a grim board, I'm not too bothered about the 9s, but he's checked to the river. We pretty much always have the best hand. So again, we go back to how we can value bet on the river. So what do we need to be able to value bet the river? We need to likely have it needs to be a high percentage chance that we have the best hand, and we need to be able to get called by worse hands as well. He can still have a 10 that calls. He can still have pocket queens that calls, pocket kings. He could have an ace and then we chop. Yeah, fair enough, but he's going to bet an ace anyway, so it's not like we're losing less rake or whatever. So yeah, just I wouldn't even say nitty. I wouldn't even say necessarily nitty. It's not like you're being a sick nit and folding hands that you shouldn't. You're just not. I don't think you're going to be value betting or value raising enough. We yet to get to the super nit fold. Whoa. Do you know what I'll do? Just what point is it? I'm gonna get a drink beforehand. So I think this is basically a nit fold. I know what you're thinking. Oh, but he's raised so big because we're 200 big blinds deep. These hands are fucking well good 200 big blinds deep. Ace 4 suited 200 big blinds deep in position. I'm calling here, and I'm already preemptively thinking about Vegas and the fucking Mirage. Yeah, it's a huge 3-bet here. We're in position with a suited ace. When you're deeper, suited aces, their hands go up in value. He should still be 3-betting hands like king, queen of clubs, king, jack of clubs, jack, 10 of clubs. We can really cooler those hands for 200 big blinds. Always call here. Even though the sizing's pretty big, this deep, fuck me. So 100 big blinds deep and 200 big blinds deep is quite different. If you're uncomfortable playing 200 big blinds deep, if you really get worried about wanting to lose a stack, then, fair enough, rat hole. So when you get to 200 big blinds deep, when you win a buy-in, close the table, restart the table. This is only on sites that allow that, by the way. And then play 100 big blinds deep so you can study 100 big blinds deep. 200 big blinds deep, the ranges change. Everything changes. Definitely missed how deep he was here. Well, then you're not fucking focused, are you? What's the first rule of playing poker? Make sure that you stay focused when you're playing, right? Fair enough if you don't normally play Zoom. Do you normally play Zoom? Because I know that people here, they'll sometimes just play Zoom for my benefit to do the review, because I'd rather format it like this. So if you play regular tables, I can understand it, because it might be confusing when you're playing Zoom and it might be harder to play to stay focused. But if you're not seeing stack sizes here, like you literally need to focus more. You need to fucking put your randomizer away, whatever, because I've seen your mouse go off and probably use a randomizer or whatever, and you know, maybe get confused at other spots. Just stay fucking focused. Stay focused. You need to know that you're 200 big blinds deep here and that this is just a fist pump call. King 3 suited here. We open. This is a board. Okay, I'm going to raise this. If you fold this, you're getting slapped right in the mouth. I'm going to raise this and I'll tell you why in a minute. As long as you at least call, it's fine. Like it. Big fan of it. Big fan of it. He calls. We see the 10 of diamonds. I like the check. And I'm checking my king high here. And being annoyed when he has ace high. Sixes make sense from him. So it's obviously a fishy line, but like when I expect to be beaten here, it's by 4s, 6s, 7s. Hands that don't want to check raise, but don't want to check call. So the fish end up donking them. So I like the way you played it. So on the flop here, we could call. He donks. Our pair of 3s needs some protection. Like, if he just has a random hand like Queen Jack of Hearts, it's always going to fold versus a raise, but it has like a reasonable amount of equity against our hand. Let's open our trusty software from the 1970s and just look at the equity that some absolute shite hands have against our hand. So let's just use like Queen Jack of Hearts for as an example. So it's still got 20% equity. It's going to win 1 in 5 times. And it's never calling versus a raise. Just random shit like that just has like a reasonable amount of equity. So first of all, we want to deny equity to that. That's not the main reason why we want to be raising, by the way. Generally, you want to have a clear directive when you're raising a hand. It's going to be as a bluff or as a value bet. This is kind of one of those mergey bets where we can get called by worse, but also we protect against we protect against hands that have equity that we want to deny that equity to them. The main reason why I like this is that we have the backdoor flush draw as well, so that we do have more equity in the hand. And the turn, I'm very much okay with checking here. Again, this is one of those spots kind of similar to the ace-7. But he can still have some like 5x here. Hands like 6s, 7s, 8s are never going to fold. He could have like 10x of clubs and shit like that. So I think I'm okay just checking here, realizing our equity. We also really don't want to get check raised now that we have a pair and a flush draw. And then on the river, I just think I'm always checking. You can have flushes. 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, probably not folding. So, you know, this is the kind of hand, even though a pair of 3s is counterfeited, we still have king high. King high can be the best hand here. Or even when it's not. So when we're bluffing a river, so when we talked about value betting a river, we want to think about how often we have the best hand, how often we can get called by a worse hand. When we are bluffing, we need to think how often we have the best hand, or I guess the inverse would be how often we have the worst hand, but also how often or how likely it is we can get a better hand to fold. So even though I don't think we have the best hand that often here, I think the likelihood of us getting a better hand than king high on this board to fold is so low that it's just not worth bluffing. So when I am going to bluff, I'm going to bluff hands like 6, 7 suited. Because I have 7 fucking high. When you bluff on the river as well, the lower down in your range you are, that theoretically the more hands that you get to fold. For example, let's say we tried bluffing a 5 here. Obviously you're not going to. You can't because you need a 10 to fold. Let's say we tried bluffing pocket aces. We'd need a 5 or a flush to fold. But if we bluff, let's say 6, 4 suited, we have 7 high. 6, 4 hearts, for example, we have 6 high, sorry. We can then, in theory, get 7 high, 8 high, 9 high, jack high, queen high to fold. So the lower down in our range we are, at least theoretically, the more hands that fold, the better our bluff is, the more often our bluff works. And the more often they fold, so the more often we win. Anyway, that was a long-winded way of saying, yeah, you played it fine. So 4, 5 suited, you can either pure open this or just open at a frequency. So again, because of board coverage and that we're not really doing things at a frequency, Raise Your Edge is just opening this pure. Again, I'll reiterate that these hands, these low suited connectors, don't have a lot of EV. It's just for board coverage. What I will say is that at the lower stakes, 25 and below especially, I found the toughest transition in cash games, the toughest jump was 25 to 50. At 25 and lower, I don't think you're getting 3-bet at a correct frequency, an optimal frequency. I don't think you're getting 3-bet bluffed enough. Meaning that we can open these hands probably pure and it be just about okay. But if you wanted to fold this under the gun as well, I would be okay with it. Interesting. This is the problem. Like, this really isn't as good of a flop as it looks like because we're out of position to 2 players now. We've got a 5 high flush draw on a board that they can hit quite hard. They could have like a load of top pairs. They could have hands like sets. They could have like even hands like 10 jack of spades, like that just fucking completely crush us. So I'm always starting out with a check here 3-way. When you multi-way, you really need to be a lot tighter. You can't bluff as much and you can't value bet as thinly. So you need to do a lot more checking. So big fan of the check here. Our hand's really not that strong. We're kind of hoping this just goes check, check, check. Do you know, I don't even fucking hate folding. I'm not even joking. This is why these hands are so shit when stuff like this happens. I think calling... Raising just feels too thin. Calling just feels shit. Folding feels too nitty. I think I'm going to advocate folding this pre-flop because even though you're not getting 3-bet enough, when you're going to be out of position a lot and you're going to go to a lot of flops with a hand that's just really not that good. I think I've changed my mind and just folding pre is fine. The thing is, if you fold here, like, I'd call you a nit, but like I think folding's fine. Because we just have to check fold on every turn that isn't a spade, and you can just have higher spades. And the 10's not great, you can connect with it with hands like King 10, 10 Jack, and obviously King Jack, as well as 7-8 as well. He could just smack this turn, and we're just check folding here always. I think your line is fine. I think your line is fine, but it just feels shit. It just feels really shit to check call. It feels shit to check fold. Hello. If you don't check raise this, you're getting slapped. If you don't check raise this on the left hand side, then we're done. We're done here. Bit bigger. I'm going bigger here because we're mainly polar and we have some 7x here and we're deeper. So I'm going a bit bigger than this. I'm going closer to 10 big blinds, maybe even bigger, because I want to get so much money in with my value, which is a 7. So I'm probably going 10 or 11 big blinds here versus this. This is a bit small, especially when we're a bit deeper. But at least we're check raising. Now, why was I so bothered about check raising? What do we want our bluffs to be on flop and turn? Our bluffs on flop and turn, we want to be our best bluffs. What characterizes a best bluff? It's a hand that has a lot of equity, but no showdown. We've got an open-ended straight flush draw and 10 high. We also have way more 7x than cutoff does, or more 7x than cutoff does. We have some full houses as well with 9s and 9-7, as well as quads. So this is a board where I want to do a reasonable amount of check raising on. 10-8 of diamonds is literally always, always, always a check raise. If you don't check raise 10-8 of diamonds here on this flop, get out of my stream. Unfollow, unsub. Go and take a fucking look at yourself in the mirror. You disgust me. So, ace-10 suited here, I mainly want to call. Let's have a look if we have a 4-bet this hand according to Raise Your Edge. It does actually want a 4-bet here. So, if you actually look, it wants to 4-bet a lot more than what we're calling. Now, there's 2 issues with this. So, when we do a lot of 4-bet bluffing, the reason we can 4-bet hands like 9s, 10s, and ace-10 suited is that the button should be doing a lot of calling versus our 4-bet. So if we look at the button versus cutoff range, look what the 3-bet, 5-betting is 2% that they're going all in with. And they're calling 7%. And some ranges will only want to jam ace, king, and queens as well, even flatting hands like aces. So by 4-betting some hands like ace-10 suited, we still get to realize our equity when they call. The problem in game, especially at some of the lower stakes, is that when you 4-bet some hands, they're just going to have a lot of shoving, meaning we don't get to see flops. And hands like ace-10 suited play pretty well. We've got a suited ace, so we want to call. So seeing as we're a bit deeper here as well, I think just calling here makes sense. On the left-hand side, the ace-jack of diamonds, I think we can come in with the cold 4-bet bluff. Maybe not because it's a big open size and I mean, the 3-bet's not that bad versus that, so maybe I'd just muck this. But 150 bigs deep, I don't mind making this like 22 big blinds in position. When we called 4-bet, when we're in position, we can go extremely small. We can literally make this 20 and it'd be absolutely fine. Loads of new subs recently, guys. Really appreciate the love, so thank you. So we do go for the 4-bet with the ace-10 suited. All right, Billy Big Bollocks. So I like it. So you've obviously been studying your ranges and see that it wants to do it. Just keep in mind that, like I say, if players are just going to 5-bet jam a lot, maybe we want to call a bit more often and see flop. So maybe we could do it 50-50 or even 75-25 in the favor of calling. But I like it. I'm a fan of it. Queen 5 suited, we defend here, and this is a hand I may want to check raise with. I think generally as well, people over c-bet. I think that people c-bet and they c-bet this small size on a lot of boards with a lot of their range, which doesn't really make sense to do. So I think that check raising, if you're on the fence about stuff, I think check raising makes a lot of sense. So let's see if I can do this whilst it's playing. Okay, we just go for the call. And I'm check raising this turn. My guess is you won't. And we go for the call again, and this is the problem with taking passive lines. You end up sat on the river with your dick in your hand with queen high, and they can just check back here with some hands like ace high and win. Or, you know, king 10. No, what is the lead? Sorry, what do you value bet here with that takes this line? This is just a classic fish desperation donk lead of shit I missed. The only thing I don't mind about it is the size, believe it or not. I don't mind the size because of what we're trying to target to fold, but like, what are you representing? This is literally a classic fish maneuver. Again, we don't really have any donk leads. The deuce of clubs is the biggest brick for you to do this with. Yeah, but what takes this line? What takes this line for value? The deuce is an absolute brick. The deuce can't change anything. So it's not like, oh yeah, we've got 5-3. 5-3, we've got a straight on the turn. Why would we take this line with 5-3? So basically, on the turn, he's kind of polar with his size. He's going to have like quite a strong hand most of the time. Like, he's unlikely he's going to value bet like a 6. So he's probably got like a jack plus or just bluffs. So yeah, you get bluffs to fold here, but we block some of the bluffs we want him to have. Ace 5 suited. Even 4-5 suited or like 5-6. Queen 10 of hearts. Random ace queens. Ace queen of hearts. King queen of hearts. We don't have 2-4. What do you mean 2-4? The fuck are you talking about? 2-4 of hearts specifically. But I'll tell you what. I bet you wouldn't overbet here with 2-4 of hearts because it's not that strong a hand on this board. It's a weak 2-pair. We'd also be raising some, maybe not 2-4 of hearts, but there's one combo of 2-4. We don't have a set of 2s. We don't check call, check call. This is just a random donk line. Just raise the turn. We've got a shitload of equity. I'm calling you so wide. If I've bet the turn for value, this is the thing. If I've bet the turn for value in his spot, so if I have a value hand, a hand I'm betting for value, I am calling on this river with my entire value range, which is basically queen jack plus, and I call my entire range. And if I've got 8-9 of spades, I might just fucking stick it in your eye and be like, go on then. If the river comes a 3 or an 8, I know that gives us a straight, or even a 9. Something where it changes the dynamic of the board. Something that isn't a total brick. I can get behind a lead. Even though I'd say generally don't do it, I can get behind it. On the fucking... Think about it. There is literally no bigger brick than the 2 of fucking clubs. There's no bigger brick. Ace 8, easy defend. Don't think we ever want a 3-bet. Never going to fold blind versus blind. Some advice I'll give you, Flowers of Sulphur, my friend Barry, is that if you can bankroll higher stakes, but you feel... I don't think you should, because just from my assumption here, it feels as though you're relatively risk averse. So I always talk about in poker that there's 2 sides that people come to from poker. There's like the gambling side and the strategy side. Yeah, some people mix. I came from the gambling side because I'm a fucking degenerate. But then I got into the strategy side of things and was like, I really like the strategy behind it. A lot of the people that come from the strategy side are risk averse. Like I was talking yesterday, earlier today, going on Reddit and seeing stuff about stocks and investing. They're all just fucking nits. They're talking about, you know, investing in like really low yield shit. And it's like, oh, we'll see a 7% return over the year. And I'm like, gamble your fannies. Like I'm up like 60% in like 3 months because I've just gambled. Like, but I get it, they're risk averse because they like investing. So a lot of people that come from the strategy side tend to be risk averse because they're not gambling. You need to get out of that mindset. The opposite mindset's kind of, if anything, I think the opposite mindset's easier to get out of. Like fish that come from like the gambling side and like, I keep losing money because they keep stationing or just like paying people off or just gambling. Like that's easy, just be like, okay, stop calling rivers with bad hands. Whereas like when you're risk averse, it's really hard to get out of that mindset of being comfortable just throwing money at things. In poker, you have to have a sense of gamble, I think. You've got to have the heart, you've got to have the commitment. Do you know what I mean? So my advice is don't move up stakes, because even if you rolled for it, if you're risk averse, the higher you play, the more risk averse you'll be. The more risk averse you are in higher stakes, the more you can get exploited and be too nitty and end up losing in ways that you're not even realizing it because you're so tight. So I promise you, bankroll management is important, not just so you don't go broke, but for your own mental state, so you're not getting into stressful spots and so you're not being too risk averse and losing too much money. I'll tell you that firsthand. I made a fold that haunts me to this very fucking day. I would imagine that some people in the chat even know the hand I'm talking about. In a live poker game, they'll tell you the hand that I folded on the river. And I still regret it to this day. I'm still pissed off about it. Oh, I mean, just 4-bet get in jacks here. Nah, just 4-bet get it in. Again, this is coming down to being risk averse. You should 4-bet get this in pre-flop, and I'll tell you for why. So something that people don't realize, when you lose a buy-in, you lose a buy-in and it's shit, right? So you go all in with jacks, they've got aces. If we 4-bet and they 5-bet shove, their range is going to be tight. We're going to have the worst hand a lot. When you 4-bet here and it goes fold, fold, you win 15.7 big blinds. That is what, a sixth of a buy-in? Like about a 6.5 of a buy-in. People forget about these pots when they take them down pre-flop, right? So, or maybe we could like 4-bet, he folds, he calls, and we're in position with a stronger range than this guy. In spots like this, I'm probably not 4-betting jacks a lot. When there's a 3-bet and a cold call, I consider this to be dead money. Unless you have notes that this guy's a sick nit and is going to cold call a really strong range, I'm just going to 4-bet get this in here pretty much all the time. So it's mixing jacks. But when there's a cold call, there's extra money in the pot. So 4-betting is going to be well more attractive. 4-betting to what size? 21 big blinds? 22 big blinds? So normally I would be going 18 versus this size. But with a player in as well, I'm going like 20, 22 big blinds. Because we never really have good spots either. This flop's shit. We've got an overpair. We don't know where we're at. Okay, he didn't have auto check, but he checked back pretty quickly. Deuce on the turn. I mean, I'm already just hating life. Don't fold the turn. If you fold the turn, it's shit. But if you call river, if you call turn and fold river, I'm okay with it. Nah. Grow up. Do I think his range is going to include a lot of fucking sets? Yes. We've got the 4th best hand. Aces, kings, queens, jacks. We've got the 4th best hand in poker. We've just called a 3-bet and then folded with an overpair. No, absolutely not. If you'd call turn, folded river, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely fine. Taco, what do you mean this fold isn't shit? It's fucking daft. He's going to have a lot of sets, yeah, but we've got a gut shot as well. We've still got outs against it. We could hit a jack or a 10 for the best hand a lot of the time. It's annoying that we're sandwiched in between, which is why I think we should 4-bet in the first place. But like, you're telling me you can't have ace queen of clubs, ace king of clubs, ace 10 of clubs, ace 10 of diamonds, pocket 10s, ace jack of... Nope, can't have ace jack of hearts. Ace queen of hearts. King queen of hearts. King queen of clubs. Just way too risk averse. Right, this kind of fucking thinking, he's either full of shit or has 2-pair. Right. Everyone seems to be in the logic of, I'm going to fold the turn because if he goes all in on the river, I'm going to fold the river. That's fine. We are allowed to call the turn. We are allowed to then see what he does on the river, and then we're allowed to fold the river, right? You can't just go, oh yeah, well I think he's got 2-pair or nothing, so I'm going to fold for the time he's got 2-pair because if he jams the river, I'm probably going to fold anyway. Yeah, he probably doesn't have that many fucking 2-pairs. If anything, it's going to be sets. Eights, 9s, and 7s, yeah, well within his range. That's 9 combos of hands. We have equity against these hands. We're getting over 2 to 1. So we need what? We need 33% equity in the hand to make this a profitable call, with the exception of this guy. Pretend he's not in it. We need 33% chance of winning. Let's look at his entire range. Let's open PokerStove, and let's put in a range of hands that we think he might have in this spot, right? Ace queen of hearts, ace queen of clubs, ace jack of clubs. I'm giving him all fucking ace 10s. Giving him ace king of clubs and ace king of hearts. Giving him queens. Giving him 10s. Giving him fucking 6s. Giving him 6, 7 suited. And then we're giving him 9s, 8s, 7s. We'll give him some fucking king jack suited. Give him all king 10 suited. Give him all queen 10 suited. We'll give him some fucking queen jacks. But this is against a relatively strong range. Look at our equity. 57% chance. Nobody considers this. When we have to consider what price we're getting and then what equity we need to make it a profitable call. Just as we need to consider the stack to pot ratio, which enough people don't think about. So we need 33% equity. Well, it's different because of him in the hand, but he's going to have fuck all most of the time. And that's only against a tight range. That's including hands like queens as well. This should just call. 4-bet pre. Exactly, so he might give up on the river. So call the turn, see what the river brings, see what happens. Westonian brings up a point. We have implied odds potentially on a 10. When he has a set, if he has a set of 10s and the river comes, you know, the 10 of diamonds and 2 flush draws miss, he may even call a large bet. It's not a nice spot, by the way. It's not like we're fucking fist pump jamming with jacks or whatever. But you can just tell the whole risk averse. You're not willing to 4-bet there, you know, and you're not willing to call there. You're just too tight. Because, like, if you're not willing to go all in, it's a 3-bet bluff. No. Look at you. So, theoretically, on these boards, I think mainly small sizes. I guess we could go a bit bigger because the king and the queen's really good for us. But, like, going the bigger size, it just kind of screams that I want to protect my hand here. The turn's obviously amazing. He's going to have a lot of folds here. However, I'm just going to bet pot or close to pot. Because of the range I'm trying to target. Any low spade hand's just going to fold anyway. I'm just trying to target king X flushes and the ace of spades, so I'm going extremely big. I'm not even going this size. I'm going 10 or 11 big blinds here. 7-8 suited, fuck it, deeper, call in. You know me, I love 7-8 suited. Snap call on the river. Whoa, what a fucking nit! You make me sick. You make me fucking sick. Doesn't even consider raising. Fucking call him a waste of space in the chat. Call him a fucking waste of space and tell him to stop playing. Imagine 25 NL. You got a full house and you just check calling on a fucking monotone board. Mate, grow up. It pisses me off so much and I don't know why. I don't know why nits anger me so much. It's just like a really passive way of living. It's just embarrassing. You got one life and you're there fucking check calling boats. Grow up. Alright, you should check raise the flop. Sets just want to raise. But again, this is what I mean as well. Think about how much money we've just left on the table. Go bigger on the turn. Against the range we're trying to target here, go a lot bigger on the turn. If we bet 11 big blinds on the turn instead of this, then, so if we bet pot here, then the river's going to be 34 big blinds. And then when we bet pot, we get an extra, not only have we already got an extra 8 big blinds, we then get an extra, so then we get an extra 15 big blinds. Bet bigger on the turn because of the range we're trying to target with this hand. Now, I'm going away from theory. Maybe we want a small bet. Maybe we want to chat. I don't give a fuck. On this turn, I'm trying to target hands that will not fold. Hands that will not fold. Pocket fives, which you'd raise. King X. The ace of spades. Flushes. Anything else can fuck off for all I'm concerned with. Pocket sevens with a spade. It's not going to call 7.4 big blinds. If it does, probably calling 11 big blinds. Bet as big as you can here. Bet pot. Don't think I want to overbet here in general. But like pot, he's not folding the king. He's not folding the flush. He's not folding the ace of spades. He's not folding pocket fives. More money's in the middle. Fuck it. Overbet the river. Again, similar spot. Maybe he's got queen jack with the jack of spades. He's probably not going to call 26 big blinds. So may as well make it 35 big blinds. The snap call with a full house here. He loses to 7, 8, 9, 10. He loses to 10 combos. We could, in theory, have pocket threes. Mate, just grow up. Just grow up and bang it in. It's 25 NL. The thing is, I bet you probably, like, most players will just fold the nut flush. This is what poker's become now. It's become people just fucking check calling boats, right? So when you're a sick nit, if we know he's a sick nit, then when he shoves the river, the nut flush is never any good because he doesn't have bluffs and he's not going to jam a worse hand for value. So if he check jams this river and we have the nut flush, because he's such a sick nit, he has to fold. So for that reason, when he has a hand like pocket fives, he actually can't get called by any worse hands. So when he check jams, we just have to fold anything that isn't better than us. And that's what poker's come to in this fucking day and age. There's so many players that are such sick nits that make such ridiculous checkbacks or just flat calls. And then I go, that's terrible. And then I actually think about it and I'm like, well no, because I'm not actually calling a worse hand because there's such a fucking nit tramp. There's people out there that read books instead of playing Metal Gear Solid 1. Makes me sick. You're going to fold these 10s, aren't you? I'm actually very happy being deeper here with 10s because we're just not going to get jammed on that much. Mate, there's 22 big blinds. Yeah, you folding. Nah. He just has insta fold sometimes as well. We can just pick up 13 big blinds. We've got the 5th best hand in poker. We're in position. We're not going to get jammed on often because we're this deep. So when you're in position, you get to realise your equity a lot. You get to control the size of the pot more often and pot control. Cold 4-bet this, 22 big blinds. Why are we not 3-betting? Stop being so risk averse. Let's have a look at 3-betting ranges here. There's no way in hell we're ever flatting this, surely. This is big blind versus cut off. King queen suited, man. Big blind defense versus cut off. King queen suited. Pure 3-bet. 3-bet flat. Versus under the gun. We want a 3-bet king queen suited. When you've got king queen suited, just 3-bet. The thing that I do like about it, actually, this was that sick nit for a start, but also you need to tag him. When he does something like that, tag him as a nit. It's really fucking, it's important. It's important, Mark. Tag him as a nit. Also, because he's gone the smaller size, we technically get a better price on a call, so we don't mind calling as much because we're getting a good price. And you probably don't check fold this flop. I don't know if you want to raise. Yeah, fuck it. Against him, raise. Against a net, raise. So, if you're going to have leads, this wouldn't be the worst card to lead on. The reason why it changes the board, we don't pick up range advantage, but the 5 hits us a bit more, and we do have 6-4 suited, which he doesn't have. So this wouldn't be the worst lead in the world. And obviously we just backdoor a flush. Now, normally I'd go for a check raise, but this guy's just not going to bet anything, so just bet pot. You're probably just flat with the nut flush in case you've got a straight flush. And that is the last hand. Okay. We've got some things to talk about. We've got some things to talk about, my friend. Just put more money in pots. Literally, if I could give you one line of advice, it would be put more money in pots. In a way, it's kind of okay because you're a bit balanced. Because we weren't doing a lot of bluff raising, we were doing just calling as well to balance with sets like the pocket threes. But we want to raise with sets like pocket threes so much because we have such a good hand. We want to put so much money in with our set of threes that it's going to be worth balancing with bluffs just to get money in when we have those strong hands, basically. So you're reluctant to get more money in pots, and when you're saying things about you want to improve to be able to play higher stakes, it's not even improving that I'm worried about. It's, well, it is, but it's like, it's just stop being so tight. Like, stop being so tight. I think you just want to put more money in pots, like, and just not be afraid to call down a bit and stuff like that. I do think you play some hands well, the king queen suited, stuff like that. The jacks I think was bad. Just, you need to recognize that you can 4-bet in spots like that because everyone hates losing a buy-in. So when you like 4-bet call jacks and they have aces, kings, or queens, it sucks and you're going to lose a buy-in. But when you 4-bet and you take down 16 big blinds pre-flop, you forget about that because you just take it and it goes to your stack and you don't think about that you've won 16 big blinds. You could do that 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a row and they both fold. Sometimes the button folds and then, you know, the big blind calls and you're in position. Sometimes the button jams ace king and you're in a flip, like, which is good considering there's already 16 big blinds in the middle.